Alright, hey guys, my name is DaFatman. Today I'll be running Mirror's Edge Glitchless. I'll start by putting a disclaimer here that this is one of the more controversial runs of Glitchless. You may have saw in the last SGDQ, Glitchless was ran, and there was a lot of controversy to follow. His response video has like 1 million views up to this point. I would like if we do not have that issue during this marathon. Without further ado, we can begin. There's a lot to talk about in the beginning, so this might be hard, but we're going to start here. Once I press select, the game's going to begin. We play on easy mode because the guards are kind of annoying, and they're more likely to kill you in certain places if you don't have it on easy mode. So we play just on easy mode for ease of the run. With that, we're going to start the run in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so first of all, there is a training area that we're going to skip because it allows us to, just like so. Now, there are 2 or 3 fundamental movements involved in the game Mirror's Edge. Well, at least when it comes to speedrunning. The first one, you may notice that I look to the side every once in a while, and once I look back straight, I gain max speed instantly. Basically what that's about is there's a mechanic in the game where you can sidestep to avoid guards. What we do with that is we carry that speed that you gain from the sidestep in order to go to max instantly out of something. The second thing you might notice is that I go into walls and rub on them very quickly. That's what's known as a wall boost. We use that to gain a lot more speed than you can get just walking on the ground. So it's applicable for most walls. There, what I did was a neutral kick. If you kick while you're falling straight down, you won't have to roll, which you do if you take quite a hard fall. And I think that's about it for the explanation of prologue. Already, even though it's only been a minute, this is a great run for a marathon just because I usually choke up to this point. I'm just going to concentrate a little bit harder for this now that the fundamentals are explained here. Chapter 1 is not chapter 1, this is called prologue. And prologue's a relatively quick chapter, you finish it in under 2 minutes. Nothing compared to other parts of the section, although this is one of the harder chapters, especially in any percent. Okay. Something to note about that. I need to slow myself down there on purpose, and the reason for that is because the helicopter doesn't let me grab onto it right away. I didn't wait long enough. So now you know that you just fall and you don't grab it. That lost like 15 seconds, not a huge deal. Moving on to chapter 1. This chapter has one of the hardest skips in the run. If not the hardest skip, just because it's so technically demanding. I'm going to give it one try, but no more. It's at the end of the chapter, so we're going to have to wait and see. Now, you're going to see right there something interesting that may have looked like a kick glitch. If you're familiar with the game, one of the fundamental movements of any percent that are banned in this category is kick glitch. We're not allowed to kick glitch. What that means, it's basically a double jump. When you kick, you get set in ground state for a split second, somewhere in the middle of that, and you can use that to jump and continue your speed. We're not allowed to use that, but we are still allowed to kick, and that lets us kill height and go forward, which is beneficial in some cases. This is one of those areas where having easy mode's better. It's really hard to get past that in normal mode. Part of the reason why we do that. Here's another example of the kick if you didn't see it. If we didn't kick there, we would have had to roll, which would have not been good. A little bit of vent action here. In any percent, there's a skip here that skips all these vents. The first, like, real skip of the run. Obviously not the biggest by any means, but it's a substantial one. I don't know what just happened there. apologies if I'm talking too fast here. It's kind of difficult to explain all the stuff in the beginning while running, kind of because this is a very focus-intensive run, because there is no real stopping points except in elevators. So apologies if I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself in terms of the speed. Hopefully at this point it should be a little bit calmer in terms of dialogue. Remember that pad that's going to be relevant in a few seconds. If something goes terribly wrong, which it can. It did not. For some reason, we still don't know exactly why. Sometimes when you're going through that maneuver where you land on that pad, sometimes the door doesn't load. We don't know why. It's actually super weird because that never happens in any percent. Despite, it should happen in any percent if it happens glitchless, but no. It only ever happens in glitchless. I have never had it happen in any percent. But yeah. We are not too far away from the hard trick in the game. Here we're gonna go into this area, which even I've questioned as out of bounds for like a split second, but then the best runner of it, Black Belt Ginger Ninja, proved me absolutely wrong. It is very clearly in bounds. But, yeah. This is just gonna be some simple wall boosts throughout this area up until we get to the skip. This is a nice little hallway. It's always fun to nail all the wall boosts. Especially that one. I usually don't get that one properly. Pretty glad I did here. Right. This is where the hard skip is. I'm going to give it one attempt and one attempt only, and then I'll do a not that slow backup. Faster than intended, but slower than anything else. What's known as a sliding wall climb. I could have probably explained it as I was getting up to it. Basically, if you maintain speed going towards the wall and then look directly into it as you jump, you're allowed to slide, which lets you cover a large gap. That one, it gives you an extended one because the thing's just at the right height to... Apologies. The thing that we sliding wall climbed on, it was just tall enough that we were able to stay in the wall climb for longer. That's the only reason that you're able to do that whole gap, which normally you just kick glitch over, but in this run you are actually able to clear the whole thing without using glitches. I failed it, but seeing it work is honestly impressive. I used to be able to do it, but for some reason I can't do it anymore. So, there's nothing really I can do about that. Now that the high gear is gone, we can move on to more simple wall boosts. We just go through this whole area normally. This is where one of the biggest skips, or one of the, not the biggest, the hardest skips in the any percent speedrun comes in. You usually get above this level, and then kick all the way into the storm drains that you'll see later. Right now, we're just gonna do some nice wall boosts. Just get through here quickly. That was not a good canals, in case you didn't know. Right. Not really much to say here. There's a mini skip coming up here. There are like 3 ways to skip this general area, and 2 of them are any percent and 1 is glitchless. The glitchless way to kind of bypass this area, normally you have to jump off this crane, go down there, and then parkour your way down. Instead, we're going to do this. and we land at the bottom, right next to the button. It's pretty convenient overall. Right, so now we're approaching the storm drains. We quit and reload there because this section takes, I think, not 2 minutes. That's an exaggeration. It takes like a minute to actually open the door here. If you wait, because you need to wait for that door to close, which takes a long time. So we just quit and reload. So this opens as soon as we press the button. And this is a fun area. This is one of the few areas where Glitchless and 80% are virtually the same, with one difference at the very end. So while I'm here, since this isn't a very concentration-intensive part, I'll talk about what Glitchless is in this game, in the Turn Samir's Edge. There are 4 things that are banned. One is the kick glitch, which I discussed earlier. One is button glitching. Anytime I press a button, you can use an animation and use bound to scroll wheel to prevent you from having a button pressing animation, which saves time in a lot of places. Third one's clipping through objects. 4th one's out of bounds. 5th one is beamer. That's a relatively small trick in the run. There's just one trick. Basically, if you bump off of an ledge, like this is a good example. I could have gotten a beamer there. It sends you flying backwards, which is very useful in chapter 5 of the speedrun. That's covered. This is probably the easiest part of chapter 2 right here. The longest chapter of the game, mind you. The longest any other chapter gets is like 4.5 minutes, I think, and this is over 6. It's kind of obnoxious. But it's not a terrible split, except for stuff at the end. Here's a nice little skip we do. Just do a nice simple, not really that simple, but elegant climb up to the top rather than taking the intended route. And now we wait. There's a crane coming up. It's going to take like 20 seconds to come up. In the meantime, how are y'all doing? Make sure to donate if you haven't. I haven't checked, but I believe there's an incentive coming up on the run immediately after this. If you'd like to place your bids for that, please do. As we get back into the action here. Although this isn't an intense mark. Coming up is a really annoying part of the game. This area is called the Chase. Basically, there's this guy up here named Jackknife who we have to chase. I want you to pay attention to where Jackknife is as I'm running through, because I want you to know he's a dirty cheater. He teleports. You'll see what I mean once we get in here, and if I don't mess up, you should be able to see it well. Okay. Yeah, you should see it coming up right here. See how he's up there? Total cheater. Not fun. But yeah, this section's really annoying because if you either die or take too long at any place, you get set all the way to the beginning of the chase. Which isn't a fun thing to do. Luckily, since this is kind of a long area, it's like 40 seconds about. Also, don't worry about that. I'm gonna try a sliding wall climb here. It didn't work. I could slide wall climb over this, but instead we're just gonna do that. Now you may have noticed that I kind of floated there at the end. When I mentioned the kick glitch, and the fact that you can use that to essentially double jump with ground state. The same thing applies to if you take damage off of a fence, which I fortunately did there, which allowed me to kill all my height and not need to roll. Which is a fun thing to do.
Can you find another way through to him?
Also, this is a fun skip. Really easy to mess up. Just a sidestep and you need to turn like immediately after, which is very easy to mess up just because there's a really good chance that you just don't jump or lose all your speed. It was not a glitch, in fact. I'll have you know. We are only plus 25 at this point, which is pretty nice. Now we're moving on to Chapter 3, which is, in any percent, hands down the hardest chapter. But in Glitchless, it's not too bad. It's pretty manageable. There's like one hard thing I'd say that exists. We're not going to worry about that. You may have noticed there that I kind of did a bunch of weird turnarounds. There's a type of climb in this. Ooh, that should be fine. Yeah, we're right here. There's a type of climb called an alt climb. Basically, you could use your hint key to redirect where you're aiming, and if you do that out of a wall climb, you can use that to vault up it when you normally should slow climb up it. I could try to show you the hint key at some point. You give me time. Unfortunately, there is no hint here. There is a hint here. Never mind. Who would I talk to get a speedrun tournament streamed here? I wish I knew. Ugh. Bunch of weird bench stuff. I'm gonna grab this gun here. This is the only time we grab a gun in the run besides a sniper really late on. The reason we do is it allows us to break through things so we don't need to do any sort of animation with it. I'm gonna drop it here. If you're a good run... Ooh, that was almost bad. If you're a good runner, you can keep the gun all the way to the door over here. And that lets you save the little bit of time there too. However, I almost always miss the door with the shot, so I'm just not even going to bother. Especially since I really dislike the sidestep animation when you're holding a gun. So, yeah. Actually, wait, I just remembered. There is one other time that we grab a gun in Glitchless. Because normally you'd skip it at any percent, but you can't. Here. Did another neutral kick there. And then this is also an annoying section. Even in Glitchless, it's kind of annoying. It's really annoying in any percent. One of the two sections that are usually deemed run killers, or noob killers, I guess, would be the better term. We're just gonna glide past it. Taking close to intended routes, but doing them in a not so intended manner. This is a fun little skip. Saves like 2 seconds, but it's nice. I missed sidestep input there. That wasn't good. Otherwise, I would have grabbed on the pole at the max height, which would have been beneficial to me. Fortunate. Kick for no fall damage. Not a glitch. Probably not a glitch. I mentioned before what the rules are, but it's no kick glitch, no out of bounds. Well, okay. Wait. Kick glitch is its own thing. That was not a kick glitch. Clarify. We quit and reload out of that elevator because it's faster. No kick glitch, no out of bounds, no clipping, no beamers, and no button glitches. That's the rule set. You're just gonna have to live with it. We're gonna do an interesting thing here. We're gonna commit suicide because we feel like it. We spawn all the way over here because death abuses are fun. Not a glitch again. I'm gonna try to do a sliding wall climb here. There we go. Climb up here, and this is arguably the fastest way to do this. There is an out of bounds in this section. However, according to calculations, they're exactly the same. This route and the out of bounds are almost exactly the same time-wise. It's just that the out of bounds is much easier, so we do it in 90%. Pretty interesting. And that's the end of the chapter.
Girl, I just spilled my Joe all over the keyboard.
Hey, can you get a message to Miller?
Hardest chapter in the game, we only lost like 15 seconds. Not bad. Pretty okay. Right, so that's not a kick glitch. It's a kick exploit, if anything. Refer to my arguments in Black Belt's response video to SGDQ 2017. So to start, we're going to do this kind of difficult climb to skip pretty much half of the puzzle here with that one climb. Pretty nice. And then gonna roll down here. I kind of forget stuff as I go. When I mentioned that you have the invisible platform when you kick, and when you hit a fence, you also have it when you roll. That will become much more useful in the later parts of the game. Right here, this is one of my less favorite areas of Glitchless, just because I don't like being inside. I'm going to do another wall climb here. I don't even know what I just did there. Don't worry about it. There's me along here. That's this. Talk about 80% for a minute, since not much is happening here. This is I believe, the biggest skip in the game, if not the second biggest. Like 90%. Basically, you go oop, and from that start area outside, and go all the way to the subway, which you'll see in at least a minute from now. It's a really valuable skip, and no 80% run is complete without it. Can't do it though, so enjoy this guy's golden teeth.
Yeah, I'll be okay.
Nice little action scene, if you will. Spam right click there to make sure I got the that's my animation. Otherwise it kills you, which is, you know, slow. It's pretty simple. Gonna wait here for like here's a kind of difficult strat coming up to avoid this puzzle. I messed it up. Let's try it again. Yeah, that was basically it. You can avoid the damage, but otherwise that was pretty much it. Do a wall run, jump out in order to get over the fence. Kind of annoying, but pretty manageable. Right, this is the subway I was talking about. This area wouldn't be completely loaded in, but this is where you would spawn with the skip. From the start of the chapter, which is quite substantial. You saw that took a good amount of time to get here. 2 minutes, about. 3 minutes, I mean. I forgot I had a timer. Gonna climb up here. So this is interesting here. So if I go fast enough here, hold on. Standard rules for Mirror's Edge: if you glitch, you just quit and reload, and you're fine. I accidentally clipped through that rail. I didn't mean to. It just happened. I have redeemed myself there. The interesting thing here is that if you're fast enough, you can avoid having this train hit you at all. You can just walk through the whole thing. Fortunately, because I had to quit and reload, that wasn't possible. So I had to wait for the train for a few seconds. That's an interesting thing. It's kind of difficult to get it, because it's both skill-based and RNG at the same time. Which is annoying, obviously, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Coming up is a cutscene, basically. We're gonna sit here for like a minute. The right here says, took me an hour and 27 minutes to finish the game without glitches. Since you don't know them, is that good? I think so. If you don't know the... it depends. It depends on how hard you're trying. If that's like, kind of doing intended as fast as you can, I think that's a good time. If you're actually learning the speedrun, I'd say it's a good start, but you could get to a better position. We'll stop ourselves here. It's a fun thing. You can argue that I shouldn't be able to survive that, but I shouldn't be able to survive any of that, so... invalid argument for glitching. We're gonna death abuse here. There's a checkpoint right there. Fun stuff all around. And we're gonna do something weird. There are... you may notice I have to do a wall climb there. There are faster ways I could have gotten over that. I have to do it like that because that's the only way that works without having the guards shoot you. Most people don't know why. I believe it's because you need to... I understand you need to be closer to them, then get away from them, and then come towards them. And that lets you not die. I went a little slow there on purpose, because if you go too fast, which is very easy to do, this elevator wouldn't load. And that would lose a minute, and I'd be crying. So we had to lose a second there to save a minute. Hot stuff. I think that's a good way to play the game, Glory. Alright. 5B. This, I'm almost guaranteeing I'm gonna mess up here. I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna. Start here. This is a good application of the kick without glitching. Lets you get over without taking a roll. Slow. Climb up here. All nice. Not too far from intended. We're going to use another one. In fact, we're going to do a very mild exploit of the positioning there. In that, if you hold W in the opposite direction, your momentum will stop. And that'll let you just stop on your momentum, just go straight down. Which was helpful in that case, because otherwise I would have fallen off the edge. Wouldn't have been too bad, because there's a checkpoint right there, but still. You could argue that's a glitch, but see Black Belt's response video, again, for that. There's a lot of arguments that could be made against this category, which is why it's really hard to run in marathons, for that exact reason. However, most people, I think, just deal with it. The community has decided on this for the most part. So this is how it's going to run. I would like no toxicity in the chat, which hasn't happened yet, which is good. Nice. There's a little bit of mention here and there about potential glitches. I wasn't even paying attention if I clipped through that guard. Clipping through guards because of either clipping through people we're okay with, because sometimes you just can't avoid it in the run. Kinda stupid. I mentioned as an extra rule, I'm not going to do it for spiritual purposes, but you, under the sub-clause of no clipping, what you're not allowed to clip through is solid objects, which means you are allowed to clip through poles, which is useful in one spot in Chapter 8. The argument is that it's not solid, which, if you actually test it, it isn't solid. Like technically it would, but otherwise ladders or rails, they are solid. So clipping through them is clipping through a solid object, hence glitch. I'm not gonna clip through the poll just because spirituality. It only saves like 1 or 2 seconds anyway, so it's not a big consequence for me. I'm also not disagreeing with the rule set. I'm just feel like doing it my own way. It's not a big deal. I believe people understand that. They hydrated bot with the clutch. I did grab a water before this just in case. Should have talked about this. This is a big skip right here that I did not nail first try. Climb up, hold tree strats, climb up on this tree, get up here, and then do this kind of annoying set of moves. And that lets you skip the elevator's action scene coming up. Then otherwise, you just get up fairly normally. That was not how I meant to do that, but it's not terrible. I do this event. It's all simple stuff from here forward. And this was a really good Chapter 5. I might gold. Actually, wait. Probably not, actually. It's a hard gold to get. But it's fun. If I'm within like 5 seconds of gold, it's good. Another neutral kick there. Dumb climb up. I missed the glass. Or at least the right glass that I need to kick punch. That was an accidental input. Alright, we didn't gold. In fact, we're quite far away from it. But like I'm still happy with my performance on it. As long as I'm not like +5, I'm like fine. And I'm +1. So hopefully it should be fine. My goal here is sub 50 in real time. So sub 50 on the timer. This is an interesting section. This, you may think here, see what I'm doing here, that's kind of arbitrary. This grabbing this pole to get over here. I could have just walked over here. However, it is entirely necessary because if we don't go over to that pole and hit the trigger there, that door over there will not load, thus being out of bounds, thus being a glitch, thus being not fun. And we'd probably have to take an alternative route to do that. There's another neutral kick spot. That was literally the best I've ever done this section. Usually I mess up in some way, shape, or form, but that was just extremely clean. Here's something I think I'm the only one who does in a run. Never mind, I messed it up. Jump over that springboard to go slightly faster in that room. I hit the springboard, so I messed up. My bad. Anyway, here. I should mention that in any percent, there's a skip that skips from outside into this room, which saves like 20 seconds. Nice. And there's also an interesting quirk. These button glitches, in any percent, you're able to press that through the wall if you spam your inputs properly. But of course, that's a glitch, so we had to take the long way around in order to press the button manually. One up here is a kind of annoying trick. Got it first try because usually don't mess it up, but it's kind of annoying. Just because it's kind of hard to grab onto that platform in general. I'd like to point out that this is a really good Chapter 6. Again, I'm playing way better than I thought I would. Especially in the later game. The start was a little bit shaky, but I'm still playing way better than I felt that I would. Especially while talking, because I'm usually pretty bad at talking while running a game. This is part of why I probably shouldn't be running marathons if I'm like that, but what can I do? Can't really do anything about that. That was a nice little section, save. Like, it was like 20 seconds long. And that. Ignore that lens flare that you just saw. That's the sun peeking through the elevator somehow. Little minor quirk of this game. Which this game is full of minor quirks, I think. As well as major ones. That was an example of a kick used to go forward and knock down. Generally helpful overall. And that was a clean chapter. It might have been a gold. Which are getting increasingly more difficult for me to get. Barely. I think it was like 0.2 or something. Here's a meme. Roll down here. Use that abuse I was talking about. And now we wait a minute and a half in this boat for something to happen. So now that I'm in a cutscene, like a real one, I guess I could talk about the story a little bit. But I haven't brought it up really because the story isn't really that important in this game. This game's more about the movement and the style and the gameplay than it is about the story. But basically, your sister... Okay, first of all, we're runners. We're up against the government who has turned the City of Glass, this place is called, into a dystopia. And most recently, the main character's sister was framed for the murder of someone who was applying for mayor, who the runners preferred. And this whole adventure is us trying to rescue her while also figuring out the whereabouts of Pierre and Daryl Kruger, the company who's majorly behind all the government issues. So now that the story's done, we're gonna bust the game a little bit. That took longer than I should have. There's a checkpoint there that just barely creeps under the corner of the level, and thus weak death abuse. Not a glitch. It's completely fine. We crawled through there instead of shimmying through because shimmying is very slow in this game. So if you can avoid shimmying through anything, better. In that case, you could just crouch and stay there. There's a fun climb here. That was basically the hard part of book done. This is a pretty simple chapter to do in Glitchless. And any percent, it's far from simple, because this chapter has the... I still don't remember which is faster, Chapter 4 or Chapter 7 skip. One of the biggest skips in the game. You skip from the start. You saw the area that we started in. You go to the end of the level. Through a pretty simple, but not terribly easy path. Out of bounds. Oh, that was perfect. I never do it like that. No! That's wrong. I didn't know the checkpoint was up here, though. That's nice. I don't think I've ever died there. Ooh. Something new happens every run, which is always exciting. Usually it's a new way to fail. I failed at least 1,000 ways before in runs. Oh, that's awkward. Okay. Wait for this door to open. This is another chase scene, by the way. It's less intense than the other one in Chapter 2 with Jackknife. but still kind of annoying. Very unlikely to mess up, though. I don't think I've ever lost him, like, ever. You have to actually play terribly to not. But, yeah, you know. That's another example of a teleport. I could have brought that up again. I forgot that there was that extremely blatant one if you go fast enough. Mostly because I usually am not playing this well. And as a result, since we're very clearly ahead of this character, which I will leave unnamed, we're gonna save and quit. That way, he's all the way over there. Why is he... Hold on, wait. Looked very dark for a second. I thought maybe something was up. There it is. If you want to figure out who that is, play the game for yourself. Ah, I only lost 12 seconds because of that. That's not bad. Hardest chapter, in my opinion, in Glitchless, right here. There are, I think, 3 things that I'm very likely to mess up here. The first one is by far the spookiest jump in the game. Normally we do a kick glitch here, but instead we do the exact same thing except we jump. Yeah. Yeet. Perfect. Really bothers people sometimes. Bothers me too. I get scared every time I do it. What is the beeping? I don't know when you said that. It might have been something in the game, might have been something outside. I'm not sure. Here's the second thing that's easy to mess up. Not this, even though I just messed it up. Normally we kick glitch here the exact same way, but instead we're gonna wall boost. And that's a really hard wall boost. Like, you need to have a really solid wall boost in order to do it. And as I mentioned before, this is where you're normally allowed to clip because they're not technically solid. But in the spirit, I'm just not gonna. Not a big deal. Just climb it. Only loses like 2 seconds. I don't know how that roll cancel worked, but it worked anyway, so. What are you gonna do? And here's the third thing. This is actually the same in 80% Glitchless. I just really dislike it. And that's just climb right here. That saves like 8 seconds. But it's easy to mess up, as you saw. I'll do it one more time, and if I don't get it then, I'm just gonna move on and do the slow way. Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. Perfect. There we go. Second try is not the worst. I usually only get mad at it when I fail it 3 times in a row. That's not right. I missed a turn input. And therefore I didn't actually turn. Which made me just go forward and kill myself. There we go. It was not a good atrium. Everything else was pretty okay, though. And for Chapter 8, not bad. Only lost like 20 seconds, I think. Good clean. There's a little long vent here. I think the longest one we take, if I recall correctly. One in Chapter 9 might be longer, though, if you count the whole thing as a vent. I'm not sure. Wait, that is exactly wrong. Don't worry about that. And suicide. We do that because we can. There really isn't no benefit in Glitchless to do that. Except for the fact that you get down here quicker, which actually isn't even... No, I don't think it matters. If we were doing any percent, that'd be great, but Unfortunately, we can't because you can shoot through this. You can shoot through the wall if you die. For some reason, I don't know why. But again, glitchless. No siree. The bullets clipping this time. Fun stuff. And this is the big area where that rolling to cancel height comes in effect. Same thing with the kicks and the damage boosts. Really good ways to kill height. And now we're on the last chapter. Now we are on the final chapter of the game. For the casual player, pretty much only the casual player, the hardest chapter in the game. And it's also pretty hard in any percent, and a little difficult in glitchless, but, you know, I already messed up, but, like, that's okay. Usually I like to do that right, but obviously I didn't, so, you know. We're gonna wait for this explosion here, because that'll allow the door to open, because for some reason this is one we can't break with our fists or our feet. Now go through here. Go to the garage. Most everything here is almost exactly intended. Although, of course, we're playing risky and taking the straight path when a casual wouldn't. Also, I'm looking at my time. I am definitely on pace for sub 50 in real time, which is nice. This is a fun area. This is where another important skip comes in any percent. You can skip all the way into the sniper area later from this elevator. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to do that. What are we going to do here? Now, here's something interesting we're going to do. When the time comes, press reaction time, and I'm going to press tab a few times. You might be asking why I'm doing this. Well, the answer is, back in the day, there was this old type of skip here. Like I mentioned that the current skip. There's an old skip that relied on using reaction time and getting timing to skip into the next area. It also makes the elevator do its thing faster. So it saves like 10 seconds on account of the fact that we don't have to wait nearly as long in the elevator as we normally would. Pretty nice. Pretty nice thing. Crap. This is where the oldest form of the skip would put you, by the way. From the elevator to here. And the most current form would take you to the end of these vents. Spend more time through. Following up is a pretty obnoxious section, I reckon. I can manage it, but, like, I don't like it. The sniper area. This is where you'd be with the skip. There's another skip here for any percent that you do. That's alright. There's a skip you do here. But we're not going to do it. Basically, just climb along that building. Just keep walking along it. Because the top of it's not solid. Walk all the way to the end. Can't do that, so we have to travel through these snipers. Along the railings. Past the pipes. That is not right. Should have mentioned that if you scroll, jump on those things, you won't get stuck onto them. I messed up, so I did get stuck onto them. It's the same thing that happened in very early on in Prologue, but... And we are approaching the end of the speedrun. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the game. Not the actual gameplay area, but this coming up. It's the best view in the game, in my opinion. It looks even better if you're above the elevator, because in any percent you can clip up above elevators as you use them. It looks really beautiful up there, but it looks also really good here too. And we're at the end of the game. The only thing that's left is to destroy these servers. And how we're going to do that? Well, we're just going to beat the crap out of this guard. The only guard that we kill here. Do a shooty shoot, shooty shoot, shooty shoot. That one was shot for us. And that's the speedrun done. Well, not done. I'll tell you when the timer goes. But there's not anything else left. There's just this area with a 2-minute cutscene that we skip by quitting and reloading. Time is coming up real shortly. Once we're in the animation to kick Jackknife out of the helicopter, that's time. In 3, 2, 1, time. That was 46:22 in game time, which is only 2 minutes slower than my PB, which I'm honestly impressed that happened, to be honest. I kind of want to see, did I actually just barely whiff sub 50? Wow, I did. That's unfortunate. I think if I didn't mess up so much in Chapter 9, I would have gotten it. Yeah, this is our sister. We saved her, finally. Only took 46 minutes. And yeah, that was Mirror's Edge.